PR Connections Radio presents.
I guess you can be very successful without one, and probably some people do. But I would not have accomplished anywhere near what I have accomplished without a mentor. I have had a number of mentors, and my whole life has changed dramatically. I went from going nowhere to having a business that operates all over the world. If you want to win in a big way, you want to get a mentor. It's almost like getting a direct pipeline from their mind to your mind, where you're gaining all their wisdom, all their experience, and all the studying that they've done over a number of years. And like that, you get it all in a short period of time. Are mentors important? Well, I'm going to tell you, mentors literally changed the course of my life. Let's take a look at what thinking into results is and what it could do for you, how it came about. You see, my life had changed dramatically. I went from earning nothing to earning over $1 million a year. And I was sitting one day and I was thinking, how did all this happen? Do you know, I was reading Think and Grow Rich. I was studying Earl Nightingale's material. But a lot of people have read those books and studied Earl's material. And they weren't accomplishing what I was accomplishing. So I had to ask myself, what am I doing so different? You see, I had been raised to believe if you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. I was earning over $1 million a year, and I didn't think I was that bright. I was also raised to believe if you don't go to school, you can't win. Well, I hadn't gone to school. I went to high school for about 2 months. I didn't have a good job. I owned the entire company. If you want to be happy, healthy, and prosperous, it's all here. Thinking into results is going to show you how to get it. If what I've said really triggered something in your mind and you're thinking maybe, contact the certified PGI consultant. Hit the button, leave the information. Do yourself a favor. Sit down and talk to them about what this program can do for you. This very well could be the decision that will change the rest of your life.
Welcome. This is Sid Maestre, your spiritual warrior. And I want to thank Bob Proctor for giving us a little overview, some comments on mentorship and our program, Thinking in the Results, which is a culmination of what Bob's been teaching for the last 50 years as being one of the leading proponents of personal growth and development. And our program, Thinking in the Results, is a 6-month program. It's a home study program. We do a weekly facilitation. And the purpose of Thinking in Results is change your thinking, change your results. And we work with people, work with you how to, but normally people would say change your paradigm, which is a collection of habitual habits that you have in your subconscious. But we're really talking about reprogramming, showing you how to reprogram your thinking to think what you want to think. And before I bring my guest on, I want to read to you the vision, Proctor Gallagher vision is to improve the quality of lives gradually by elevating the quality of thoughts individually through products and services that harmonize people with the natural immutable laws of the universe, with partners and collaborators who share our belief in joyful productivity, lifelong learning, and limitless prosperity, in order to create a world in which true wealth, spiritual, material, and intellectual, flows to and through and from each one of us in an ever-expanding, never-ending cycle of abundance. And with that, I'd like to introduce my guest, John Gage. Good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon, Sid. How are you today?
Well, I'm so pleased to have you here. John is a trained voice actor and has a great story. I've been working with him for a number of years.
Just one or two.
Yes. So, John, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in rural Oregon and I'd done various jobs, had various different, um, done various different things in my life. Never, always thinking I had a path that I was following, and really, I guess I didn't until I met you. So a few years ago we met randomly, or was it? And here I sit, and I'm changing, and I'm constantly changing. So I can tell you what, through your mentorship and through thinking into results, has helped me get through a lot of stuff recently.
John, what we're going to talk about today is lesson 2, and that's we have 12 lessons. Last week we did the worthy ideal, which is about our goal setting, defining the goals, what we really want in life. But today, the knowing doing gap is very intriguing, in that we know what we should do, we know what to do, and we're not doing it. I have a great example. I remember talking to an insurance broker, not insurance, but real estate broker, about the lack of success of most of the realtors.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very simple answer. He said, they don't do what they've been taught. And there's so much in life, we don't do what we're taught. And why is that? It's because of our programming. And you have an interesting shift that you've had recently. Can you share that with us?
Well, yeah, because we talk about, you were talking about the knowing doing gap. I mean, I've been trying to lose weight for a while, and like I told you last week, I've come a long ways, but you get to a plateau, and I can't get past it. And I'm like, well, what with the knowing doing gap, I know what I'm supposed to do, but what I'm doing is something totally different. So it's like, well, I can get away with eating that. I'm 6'8". I'm a big guy. Those calories aren't going to affect my weight loss. It's not true. And I needed to figure out how to hold myself accountable and change that thought process. And what I've learned, I'm on day 11 right now. The thing that's really changing how I'm thinking about that is writing everything I eat down. I can tell you for like the last 11 days, everything I put in my mouth, everything, including water and coffee. As we were discussing before the show, like if I want a glass of whatever with dinner, I make sure that I figure that out in there. But when you start writing it down and going, oh, I guess I really don't need that, because there's a goal I want to hit, and it's helping. I'm feeling better. I'm sleeping better. I don't hurt quite as bad. So yeah, it's a big shift, but it's a reprogramming of the brain, so to speak. I know Bob refers to it as a paradigm, but it's reprogramming is something some of the kids understand today, so I'll use that term. But I have to reprogram the way I think, because food is basically just fuel for us to exist and move forward and enjoy life. So this is something that's helping greatly.
That's terrific, John. You remind me of an experience I had, which was shortly after I met Bob and started working with Thinking in the Results. I had a friend that had a weight release program.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew it for maybe a month and a half. I knew it was available and was coming up. And it wasn't until after I was working with Bob, I thought I'd give her a call. And her program was called Balanced Life.
Mm-hmm.
So we sat down and she told me what it was. And I said, how much? I wrote a check. And it was a 6-week program. So we're talking 42 days. And one of the things that you did, you only weighed twice a week, Monday morning, Thursday morning.
Okay.
Well, I can do that. I can do that. The second was to exercise 30 minutes a day. So I started walking. I'd walk 15 minutes and then come back. So there's my 30 minutes. It's about a mile or so.
Right.
Or is that
So you
actually?
said
That's
you'd
2 miles.
walk 15 minutes one direction, 15 minutes back. Isn't that what
So
you
that
told
was
me?
that was almost 2 hours. And then I had to
Wow.
drink my water,
Right.
half my weight in water. So I had that. And then the big part was to write down everything I ate and drank during the day.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I had and then I had to send a text at 9 o'clock at night what I did that day.
Oh, okay. So that was like a double accountability.
Yes.
I
And
just
there's
tell my
three of
I
it.
just tell my wife it's trust me, it holds me accountable.
And there were three of us in this group.
Hmm.
I did everything I was supposed to do. And I made progress. Probably lost around 15 pounds, like 2.5 pounds a week, which is right, putting it right where I wanted to be.
Well,
And
is
the
that,
other
go ahead, sorry.
and the other two people didn't accomplish anything
In and
that 6
well,
weeks period.
mhm.
And so I asked her, her name was Tina. I said, why didn't they succeed? And she says, they didn't do what they were told to do. It
Well,
wasn't something they weren't told to do something that they were not that they couldn't do, but they didn't have that commitment and did everything they were instructed. Which brings me to the difference between being committed and being interested.
mhm.
When you're interested in a project, a goal, when you're interested, you do what's convenient. When you're committed, you do whatever it takes
No
to
matter
get where
how
you.
inconvenient it is.
Yes, inconvenient doesn't show up in the
Right.
mind. When you know what you want, you're committed. And the key thing, because I've also been up and down on diets and not track my food and things, but this time I had an accountability partner, and this was a few years back when I did this, and it never occurred to me. Yeah, the linchpin was the accountability, and
Yeah.
I wasn't going to text and leave something out that I wasn't supposed to
Right,
have.
right. Well, and see that's the key. The one thing I've learned with writing this down is I write down everything. And I don't wait to write down, if I eat it, I write it down. And then I don't wait to write down the caloric intake. So, because that would be a way to get around accountability. If I write the caloric intake down and then right before we started, I had added up my calories for the day so far, so I know where I'm at.
Good.
And that's just like writing down your finances. I write down our finances every day. I write in a log every day. I even make notes during this. It's like, oh, I hadn't thought of that, so I'm gonna write a note for memory purposes. I mean, when I was in high school, I used to think flowcharts were silly, and now it's like, can I have a flowchart? you know, because they what's the word I'm looking for? They show you the best path to take, and that's essentially what writing stuff down, at least what I'm understanding from the knowing doing gap, and what Bob has taught is doing stuff like writing stuff down, and is you're trying to find that best path. So, and writing stuff down has been something that's been the best path. But like I said before, I used to think it was silly. And then I got a mentor. We talked about it.
Tell me about your big goal, if you can.
Well, like we talked last week, my big goal is, to be a successful voice actor, working regularly, making $1 million a year. And I set a date of December 31st, 2025. But obtaining that goal, because as we discussed last year, this is annoying doing gap thing too. Your goals, your personal goals and your work goals need to tie together. There should be a link somewhere. It doesn't necessarily mean they have to be exactly the same thing, but doing the weight loss is going to help me accomplish the other. So the main goal that I'm concentrating on right now is to get this weight off and get healthy and get more active so I can do more, so that I can move forward on the other goals as well. It allows me to have the energy to do what's necessary, because there are times I get really tired, but that's being remedied.
What was the what caused this shift of moving into writing it down?
Well, as I explained a little earlier, just ran into a plateau. I just, would fluctuate 20 pounds every week or so. I go into the doctor's office and weigh myself, and it's like, gosh, I lost, this, and I've gained it back, and I know what I'm consuming. I know what I need to do, and I'm like, well, I know, and I know that I was putting more in than I should be, but I didn't know how much more. And the only way to know how much more and how much you need to put in, you have to write it down. And if I don't write it down, I don't know. I mean, I know, but I don't know. Does that make sense?
Oh yes, it's what we don't know. We don't know,
because I know that what I'm putting in is not good, but I don't know how bad it truly is until I write it down. And then I'm like, oh. So that's what caused the shift. I started writing down, finances. I started writing down things that would happen during the day. And I noticed that there was a big shift in how everything started working. Let's give it a shot for eating too. It's not like I'm a smoker or something and just quit and not put it in there. You have to consume food to survive. So it's like, okay, I can't just quit and not eat anymore.
What are some of the other things you're doing? You've told me about some books that you read on a daily basis. Some of your other activities.
Well, I do several different things. I listen to Think and Grow Rich, Thinking into Results. I still have that whole program. I paid for it, so I still utilize it. I had Power Positive Thinking. I had You Can If You Think You Can, the Bible. And then there's sometimes I put books in there just for fun, because I like fantasy novels. So I throw fantasy novels in there once in a while. Right now I'm going through a Piers Anthony phase for my fantasy novels, so that's what I'm listening to at the moment. And my job, fortunately, allows me to listen to books. And there are a lot of studies out there that show that listening to books give you the same results brain-wise as reading them. So I listen to a lot of books, but I also have books to read. But I would say the the biggest difference was choosing to do it and learning what I needed to do to accomplish it. And the biggest shift in that was writing it down. And that's how I think you can close that knowing doing gap. I know Bob talks about when he was, you know, listening to him talk, he's like, well, you know, when I was growing up, it's like mom would ask me, why did I do that? I don't know. Is it in school? The teacher would ask me, why did I do that? Well, I don't know. And he was in the Navy, and they go, well, Bob, why did you do that? You know, you're not supposed to. Yeah, I know, but I don't know. Why did you do that? I don't know. Well, this is what's going to happen because of it. He said, and he got married, and his wife started going, Bob, why did you do that? And he's like, stop right there. You know, so it was something he knew he was doing wrong. He knew that he was doing these things, but at a point you realize that you have to change them. And now, because you start doing that, you start looking for, your mind starts seeking out what's going to work for you so that you can accomplish those.
When you were mentioning that, what about Bob being asked, why did you do that?
I don't know.
And he didn't know till he got into studying Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and applying the principles.
Mm-hmm.
And he started doing things in a new way, almost like he was reprogramming himself, and he didn't know he was doing that. But Bob had an interesting story in that he was a high school dropout. He says, well, you could say that, but I only had 2 months in high school. And with no business experience, someone gave him, a man by the name of Ray Stanford, gave him Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, said, read this every day. And also gave him a gold card.
Right.
A gold for him. I said, write something on your gold. And at that time, Bob was making $4,000 a month, and had about $6,000 in debt. And he wrote down $25,000 on the card. And he said, I had no idea how I could do that. I didn't believe I could do that, but Ray believed I could. So I believed that. I took Ray's belief. And shortly thereafter, he heard someone say, there's money in cleaning offices. And he says, I'm not proud. So he got the equipment, started cleaning offices. And by the end of the year, he was making $15,000 a month.
You mentioned that. I'm sorry.
And he went on to open offices, and he was in Toronto, Montreal, Cleveland, Boston, Atlanta, and London. He says, well, he's in London because he liked to go visit there. So he's in 3 countries, making millions of dollars. And he pauses and said, how did I do that? Mm-hmm. And it took him 9 years to figure it out. And once he figured it out, and why he changed.
Yeah, you asked me what caused the change. I'd have to say it's very similar to Bob. I found somebody who believed that I could do it and saw that I could do it and stuck by me, which was you.
Thank you.
And now my wife is wonderful. If it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't be writing this down. I wouldn't be, doing certain things. I can guarantee, we've talked about my health, and I know we've talked a little bit about it, but 2 years ago, they were talking about amputating my legs at the knees because there was no pulse. I been in the hospital for 2 months, had hypoxia, which was, if you look it up, it's if you don't wear an oxygen mask at higher levels, that's what happens. Your body doesn't expel oxygen. So I was not in the greatest shape. They told me when I left that I would be on 9 liters of oxygen for the rest of my life. That I would probably have minimal walking capabilities or none. And that was unacceptable. I just didn't accept that. And, you know, if it wasn't for my wife and some of the things she did and some of the things she said, I probably wouldn't be here. And I guarantee I wouldn't have the change in my body that I'm having because of it. You know, and it was that I can honestly say it's that knowing doing gap. And part of it is the food consumption. Part of it is, you know, some of the other things that had happened in my life. There were just things that were there that I allowed, key word here, guys, allowed to happen. Or I allowed what happened to bother me and affect how I presented myself to everyone else, as well as myself, the person in the mirror. So, and that was a big change. And it takes a bit to recover from something like that, but here I am. And we're having a great conversation. And I feel good, and I'm hoping people hear that and go, oh, I can do this too.
John, I'm really proud of you. How old did you tell me you were?
I'm 59. I'll be 59 in October. So I'm a little younger than you, a day or two.
I normally don't say it. I normally don't say this, but it just makes me feel good to share with my audience here that I'm 82.
Mm-hmm.
I was retired for 20 years, and then I came across Bob a few years ago. Was enamored with thinking and results. Got involved, and it's a message I want to share and help other people. And today I've got my number today is 6382, and 6382 is 6,382 days till my 100th birthday, in which I can be making a difference. So I want to be teaching, working with people with thinking and results for the next 18 years.
And making a difference is, I think, what we're designed to do, to be honest, Sid. I mean, I'm learning a lot, and I'm still learning a lot. And if we stop learning, and we stop reading, and we stop wanting to be better for yourself and other people, you might as well just stop.
You said Bob has a lot of sayings, and one of them is never stop learning.
Amen.
Because I had people would want to know why I didn't just go out and play golf. This is 10, 15 years ago. But I was still studying. I was on the spiritual path. That's why I'm the spiritual warrior.
There you go. Well, you know why I don't play golf? I can't see the ball. It's too far away.
So this is so much fun. I think we're kind of wrapping this baby up. And I'm looking forward to next week. We're going to do the chapter 3, lesson 3, Your Infinite Mind.
Oh, I love that one.
We'll be on at 1:00 Pacific Standard Time. And you can go to sidmaestre.com, and pick up the website that introduces you to TIR, and you can fill out, a request for a conversation. I'd love to sit down with you and talk about your goals. And until next week, John.
Yes, sir.
Keep the diary.
Always. It's becoming quite the fad.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.